All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the One Up Sales Development Podcast. And for today's guest I have for you guys is truly someone who's really high up in the game, very well respected. If you haven't heard or seen him and you're in the B2B cold call space, you probably did heard of him. And if you didn't, well, now you do. And this individual is coming in hot, strategic, ongoing, 20 plus years of sales experience. He's worked in, image copiers. And, if you're a copier sales professional, you're definitely a true sales professional because that's where all the grit comes in, that face-to-face engagement, personalization, tailored. He's also sold beer for anyone here who likes breweries, craft beers. He worked his way up the ranks. He what used to be a director of client SDR services. He was VP of Ops. He is the founder, 5 by Noon. He is customer success manager over at Connect and Sell. Please give us a warm welcome to the one and only Wizard of Cold Calling, Mr. Shawn Sease.
I'm gonna give myself a round of applause. That was too much. Thank you, Jackson. That was pretty sweet. Thank you.
Shawn, just want to say on behalf of the One Up Self Development Podcast and truly say thank you again so much for putting your time out, your busy day, to truly hopping on the pod, to sharing your story, and more importantly, give back to the new and young sales pro who's listening on the pod today. So welcome to the One Up Sales Development Podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to talking through the agenda and sharing what I can and hoping people take away something that'll help and maybe, make the sales world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, Shawn, so why don't you go ahead and just tell listeners here who you are and what do you currently do?
Well, I'm Shawn Sease, so I currently work full-time at Connect and Sell, and I joined Connect and Sell not too long ago, just a couple of months ago after I was working with Ryan Reisert over at the Sales Developers for a little while, and I was fortunate, very lucky to be able to join the ranks of Connect and Sell, an organization that's been around for over a decade, 12, 13 years now, a little bit longer. That actually is in a perfect spot in the market with such a fantastic, seasoned and experienced sales team. The sales team, the leadership, just I only being here for a few months. I would probably have to say that, from onboarding and experience and the people that I'm working with, but one of the best places I've ever had the opportunity to work for. So very fortunate and grateful for that opportunity, plus, with what's happening in the world, to be here. So when I came over here, I joined in a customer success role, which was a perfect move for me because I've been spending the last couple of years trying to hone my leadership and coaching and sales skills. And that's what customer success is all about. And in Connect and Sell, the success role is really helping folks develop the Connect and Sell model into a revenue strategy, which means it's not just about conversations, it's about list strategy, coaching, messaging workshops, basically an organization's commitment to developing a real revenue engine, and Connect and Sell being the backbone of that. So again, super fortunate. It was an awesome opportunity for me. And at the moment, with a little downturn, they've asked me to do a little bit of top of funnel work. Like when we started this one, I actually just got off of a call. So I'm back to doing a little bit of SDR work, just to kind of what I would call grind the grist for what the mill requires, taking my skills, making some calls for the team to help build pipeline. So we're all, hunkering down. I think everybody's doing what they can right now to actually drive forward. So again, that's what I'm doing at Connect and Sell right now. Next couple of months, I think we'll be back to normal. We'll be back to coaching, but in the meantime, we're doing some top of funnel work for them, and it's fun.
Got it. Okay, and just to confirm for those who's listening here, top of funnel is pretty much the top of the funnel when it goes down. In terms of just for SDR and BDR, that would be considered tip of the spear for them too as well. Is that right?
Yeah, and let's remember too that it's an honorable trade, right? Top of funnel is where it happens, and I think there's a lot of people out there that might even join the bandwagon of opening is the new closing, because if you can't open up doors right now, you're not going to get anything in the pipeline. So if you are working at the top of the funnel doing SDR, BDR work, you should really consider it noble work and really, really understand what it means to be a great top funnelist, because that will never, ever, ever go out of style. Opening doors, never, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Wow, I love that. And big fan of Ryan too, by the way. You know, great guy. Well connected with him too as well. And hey, Ryan, if you're listening to this, man, shout out to you.
What's up, Ryan? Yeah, we love Ryan. He's great. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so happy that I ran into him a couple of years ago, and that's how I got the opportunity to work at the Sales Developers. So I started following Ryan and adopted the buckets model that he made popular with his book Outbound Sales No Fluff, and it's a process that works, a way to drive people through the funnel. Yep,
Yep.
there it
Have
is.
it right here too. Stay in
Buckets.
your swim lane. Stay with the buckets. Yeah, buckets very
Stay in your lane.
in your lane. That's how. Yep. Outbound sales, no fluff, baby. And he just came
Yeah.
out with a podcast too, not too long, right?
Yeah, he stays busy. You gotta take your hat off and give Ryan a hat tip, because he's one of the greatest guys in the world, right? If you call him up, he'll help you. He'll tell you everything he knows. He'll share everything, open source, not
Yeah.
charge you a dime of energy, and make you feel bad. He's a great human being. I'm really another one. I'm just super grateful to have the opportunity to be that close to him. So I got him on my cell phone. I told you we've got some ongoing jokes, but he's one of the he's one of the best. He's just a great guy. I love
Oh,
Ryan.
man. Yeah. We actually, me and David ourselves worked with him not too long ago over at 10 down here. And yeah, no doubt. He really helped a lot too. So thank you for that, Ryan. All right. So Shawn, without further ado, man, you've been in the game. You know, you've seen it all. Back in the days, sales wasn't the way it was today. You know, yeah, 20 plus years of sales experience. How did you get into sales?
Well, I started out I grew up in the Bay Area, right near San Jose, in the kind of the heart of the Silicon Valley, a little south of San Francisco there. And I was fortunate enough to work for a company when I was in high school. I knew how to do DOS commands like disk copy and disk compare and things like this, and got a job working in a shipping room. And I won't get carried away here, but I had an opportunity to learn how to write code there and do a few things. So I worked for a few different high-tech startup companies, and at some point, VP of sales actually asked me. We moved from one startup that spun off to another one, and he went to the other company, called me up and said, "Hey, we'd like you to come over to this other company, but it's in a sales role. I think you'd be great at it." So he invited me to come over, and I thought, okay, well, we looked at the commission plan. I said, hey, you can make a little bit of money here. And the rest of it is history. I started doing sales, and it worked well for me because I had the technical background. And then I think probably, most people have is just that weird resilience to get on the phone or interrupt people and just take no for sustenance, for vitamins or something, right?
Yeah, like call him during dinner, right? Hey, so
Yeah.
what's for dessert?
Right. It's like, I don't know, I should make up something new here, like vitamin N, right? Like vitamin no,
Oh man,
right?
great. That's awesome. Yeah. So you know, Shawn, you also have quite pretty good hobbies too. Like I would say, it's pretty interesting. Was just checking through your profile, and I remember seeing you playing a guitar last time at one of the Zoom meetings. Like, you skydive, and you're a master of brewer too. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when I was really young, I'm not sure why I did it, but I joined the Marine Corps before I got out of high school. I probably thought I was going to be some Top Gun pilot or something like that. The truth be known, to be silly and be, again, just transparent. I can't help it, right? So it was in the 80s or whatever. So, but I joined the Marine Corps, and my job as an enlisted guy was a parachute rigger. And as part of that process, I was airborne certified, and had hundreds and hundreds of jumps, rigged up all kinds of stuff. And what's interesting is I can tie that back to process, right? Because it's a very intricate process. And I kind of realized over time that it's kind of, process driven, like the meticulous nature of things kind of appeal to me. And so in my early 20s, I got out of the Marine Corps. I was done with that. Had a great fun run at that. Got back into high tech and so on. Picked up homebrewing around age 20, 21. My uncle bought me a homebrewing kit, and at the
Oh
time,
wow.
Sierra Nevada down the road here was real big. A lot of people were drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, so we'd make that, and that was just hobby gone crazy. About 17 or 18 years later, I took a break from high tech sales, bought a piece of property, built a building, and put in a brewery and joined the whole entire microbrewery world. So there was about a 17-year run there of homebrewing, and I actually went down to Davis, to the Brewers Guild at UC Davis, to formalize my education in brewing. Again, more process, right? Science, process, process, process. So I'll tell you, there's something really interesting about that experience that I can relate to sales. When I moved from being a amateur brewer, a home brewer, reading homebrew texts and things like this, it's astonishing. It was astonishing to realize how much of the amateur world was pure rubbish. You know, not to take anything. Well, forget it. We'll take it away, right? It's pure rubbish. So just say it. It's pure rubbish. When you get into the science side of it, about how it really works, and looking at it from a biochemistry, microbiology perspective, the science tells the tales, and it's simple mathematics and in hygiene, in sterilization, time, temperature, pressure, and things are going to happen the way that they're supposed to. And it's funny that when the amateur side, there's just so much text, it's so much garbage. It was so wrong. It formalized my education in brewing, and all of a sudden started to make really good beer. And I attribute that to, and going back to our friend Ryan Reiser, to process, process, process. You know, there's a process in sales, and it's not that subjective. It's a matter of discipline and tenacity and energy. And the reality is that it's really, really hard work, but it's really, really hard work around doing the same things over and over and over and over. And so all these things kind of layer on top of each other, the parachute rigging, the meticulous nature and the perfection there, because someone says, hey, it's test time, go pick up one of your chutes and jump it, right? So you most certainly put your own parachute on and jump out of a plane, right? And it's like the same thing as a sales manager getting on the phone and making calls with their reps, right, to prove that they can do it, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of how that whole ball of everything kind of mixes together there.
Wow. Yeah, Shawn, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I highly agree with you, right? It's all about the process. You got to stick to the process. You got to believe in the process, and, do not undermine the process, because that's what we see a lot of reps, SDR and BDRs nowadays too, tend to fail and fall off, where they like to call it going rogue when there's a process in place. And then they're known as those SDR that think they know it all, and they start to go rogue a little bit, and they don't stick to the process and to the point where they go, you know what, I'm not getting a reply from here. I'm going to try something else, but they're doing it too soon, kind of fall off place. And yeah, just sticking to the process. Like, for instance, piggyback off your beer, right? You're inside as home person, just trying to do it yourself. And then you went out there and realized, holy shit, there's a process in place that we can actually stick to it. That's, make it scalable, make it repeatable, where you don't have to really think about it and just keep going at it, bang, 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 such as having a sales conversation, being able to recognize what's an objection, to disarm them. And then once they put their guard down, then you earn the right and actually move forward and talk to them about why you're really calling, what's in it for them. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds exactly right. I mean, that's exactly how that works. Tear it down, do it up and tear it down. I think, if we talk specifically about sales and what goes on, and it's always really hard to say what works and doesn't work, right? Because the reality is that there's so many different industries, right? And there's so many different segments, and there's so many different goals and so on. I mean, small, medium-sized business may have completely different revenue goals than an organization that's going after the top 100 accounts in the companies in the world. A completely different model, a different mindset, a different targeting. I mean, just completely different. So it's really hard to broad stroke everything. And I think that that's where, listening and stepping back sometimes, helps a lot when you just kind of shut your mouth and just kind of listen to what's happening. You get a better idea of where people are going. And lots of times I think people kind of run straight at things and just say, okay, here's what you need to do, or here's what you're doing wrong, and and haven't even really thought about the scope of what's going on,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love that. This really ties to leadership, especially in sales development, right? You can't just go up there and tell them like, "Hey, man, you're doing this wrong. Hey, man, you're doing that wrong. Hey, you should say this. Hey, you should say that." But more importantly, is just like you said, sit back, observe, analyze the person, and then truly try and figure out why they're doing the ways things that why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think too that I've been spending a lot of time in the last 6 months or even to the last year to kind of personally be aware of that. And what I mean by that is making sure that as a leader or even as a team member to speak up, to be brave enough to speak up when we're solving the wrong problem. Right. And what I mean by that is that it's a matter of sometimes you just have to pull the boat out of the river and take it back upstream, sort things out and solve the right problem. And, for a really good example of that would be, trying to figure out if a script is working or not, and then finding out that you're only having 2 conversations a day. You know, in that situation, for example, you really want to go back up and solve for, we need to have more conversations because there's no sense in coaching on 2 conversations. Our population's not big enough to say whether or not it's any good. So you'd have to go back upstream and solve for, hey, how do we get the reps to have, 10, 20 conversations a day versus 1 or 2? Let's not sit here and spend 5 hours a day trying to rework the message to say it to 2 people. You're solving the wrong problem, and I think that's something that I think that's probably people are going to be spending a lot of time just naturally doing that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, going into the next 2 to 3 months, going into the third quarter, because what's happened, I mean, I think a lot of people have been laid off. Again, it's one of the things where I don't know. You hear a lot of conjecture. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But people are going to be solving problems like that, like doing a whole lot more with a whole lot less. And, I think we might be in a moment where we're going to find out that we might have had a lot of people that were good at tinkering with the tech stack or making a sequence or writing an email, where we go, we really don't have the money for that. We need new pipeline and revenue, which means new conversations and people who can drive stuff down the funnel. But we'll see that will reveal itself, But the original theme there was solving the right problem, right? Making sure we're solving the right problem and not doing the same. I always say it's perfectly fine to make a mistake, to fail, to try something and fail. Just don't keep failing at the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't do that again. But fail all you want, just fail once and fix it and try something else. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it that you brought that up, Shawn. It's really relevant right now to what we see in the sales development world, right? There's one person that, hey man, I created a sequence, I personalized this message, and then to send it out, and then like it's not working, and then they try to tweak the message again. It's like, hey, maybe it's not the message, maybe it's the channel. Maybe you should try a different channel approach. Or in this case, like you mentioned, having 2 conversations a day. What can you do to make it 10 conversations a day? It could be perhaps a dialer that could just really streamline that work. That's number one. And you really don't want to push the car forward. Like you really don't want to fit, like there's a car, 4 wheels, has an engine, has like an intake and stuff. You really don't want to change out the intake when it's the flat tire that you have. Change out the wrong part. So you really want to try different stuff. And which reminds me of Connect and Sell. So why don't you go ahead and explain to the audience here who's listening right now, who doesn't know what Connect and Sell, because I am a big fan of Connect and Sell, and when it comes to dialing, that's exactly what you guys deliver.
Yeah, I know. Ryan got you set up with a test drive, and you gave it a good go. What were your do you have your top 3 or 1 or 2 takeaways from your experience of hopping on there? Because I know you loaded some contacts, hopped on with no training, coaching, and just said, "Woo, let's go!" Right? I mean, ride 'em cowboy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know,
So
it's funny.
what were your takeaways? How'd it go?
It went very well. Thank you for asking. And
Hmm.
the takeaway. So, as you may know, I took the certification program for the TSD prior to that, and I
Hmm.
had a similar experience with something called Phone Burner, but this is
Yeah.
actually more robust. And for my takeaway, comparing from Connect and Sell, what makes it really different is that number one, it catches the decision maker for you on the spot, which is really, really, really nice. Like, you know, for instance, that if that person picks up, it's that person that you're trying to speak to. So that's huge right there. The velocity compared to dials, like when I was interning at ADP, it took me a whole 8-hour day to dial like 100 to 150 dials,
Hmm.
and I did like I believe it was 500 dials within 3 hours with Connect and Sell, and that right there is just it streamlines is it's the modern process. The way it's like what you were talking about, 2 conversations a day. Screw that. Let's make that 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a great experience with it. And I'll tell you that the fun thing or the interesting thing and even strategic thing about Connect and Sell, like I said, I'm doing some outbound call work, and I'm calling up people and letting them know that I believe we've discovered a breakthrough that basically eliminates the waste and frustration that prevents a great sales rep from effectively using the phone, and in the worst case from using the phone at all. And like we said, from a script perspective, I just hope people say, well, what does that even mean? What are you talking about? Right? Just write people right into the question. And the reality is, when you step back, and the most successful companies that use Connect and Sell realized after their initial test drive that this was really important for their revenue engine. It's a strategy for their revenue engine, right? They dismiss the idea that it's a dialer as soon as they realize that you've just removed all of the time and effort and time waste, frustration that it takes for a person to call 100, 200, 300 people. So they realize that it's not even about being a dialer, it's about how many conversations can my reps have. And one of the best ways I like to explain it is, if I had a list of a list of 150 contacts on it, or 200 contacts, for example, the bottom line is, let's find out of these 200 people who are going to answer the phone in the next hour and a half. Now, if 4 people or 8 people or 10 people answer the phone, all I know is that I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 conversations with people in the amount of time that it takes another rep a whole day or a day and a half or whatever to do that. Now, that's not even the exciting part, right? I mean, that's great. That's great. The exciting part is that as a rep, I can go back and do other things, whether I'm researching accounts or going to a meeting or whatever. I can fire up Connect and Sell and have it serve me up a couple of conversations. Boom. But you, as leadership, has to really, when that light bulb goes off for leadership, then it becomes a strategic part of their revenue engine. It's no longer a conversation about, oh, aren't you just a dialer, or aren't you just a dialer? Because what happens is, after the situation that you had, the initial test drive, in the normal onboarding process for Connect and Sell, once you make the decision about, okay, here's the kind of commitment we need our team to make as far as calls goes, to have the number of conversations we need to convert revenue, you go through an onboarding process that's really the rest of the strategy. Connect and Sell turns it into a list strategy, an integration with your CRM, a follow-up strategy, a meeting set strategy, a confirmation strategy. So you start building all these different lists. And if you go back to, like, to we were talking about Ryan's book there, buckets, right? Your reps
Yeah.
start coming in every morning in a strategic way, where the first thing that they're doing is of course, they're going to all the meetings that they have during the day.
Yeah.
Then they're confirming the meetings that they have. They're doing their follow-up calls. Then they're working their way back to their cold list. Now you've actually created a strategy that drives your pipeline, because, I keep saying the reality is that the I think that the kiss of death for a lot of companies is the one and done, right? Is thinking that, hey, give me the script where I can get a meeting. Give me a script where, in what they're saying is, how do I jam somebody into my sales process right now? What do you mean you're not ready to buy right now? And that's really a non-starter, right? I mean, this process is a 18-month, 2-year, 3-year process. And when you back up and you look at your funnel from that perspective, you have people in your funnel that are 18 months away from ever being ready to do something, 3 months away, haven't even talked to you, all these different layers. And we get lost in the, how do I make something happen now? And I mean, that's just one of the things you have to learn as a young SDR, a salesperson, that you've got to be patient, and it's a marathon. So kind of got
Ooh.
carried away there. The
Yeah.
whole idea is that it's a revenue strategy. Connect and Sell is a strategic revenue strategy, and anyone who's layering in, Salesforce, Outreach, Sales Loft, all these tools can think of Connect and Sell as one of those efficiency and innovation tools, actually one that's necessary. Get rid of all of this waste and frustration around or dialing or voicemails or gatekeepers. Get rid of it. So what
Wow.
questions do you have for me, Jackson?
Yeah, yeah. No, I just want to, man, that was straight gold fire. That was the price of admission right there, Sean. I really love that, and I highly agree with that. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I told David literally the same exact thing you just told me from our catch-up call the day after the test drive. And you're absolutely right. It's more than a dialer because it eliminates the gatekeepers. It gets the person on the phone. It dials really, 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 really fast. And and I told David the same exact thing, man. If you're like a go hard, die hard, SDR, BDR, you have your sales engagement on the side, right? You're doing your emails, and then you're using that for the call blast during that time, where it's very targeted. And to go a little bit deeper in that as a frontline practitioner during that time, with you also have filtering options. For instance, if you want to be strategic about it, I would actually hit the East Coast time at 10 o'clock, which is
Mm-hmm.
1 p.m. their time, and then moving it to the West Coast time and to the Pacific time, all while working on the email at the same time. And once that conversation pops up, because on average it takes about 5-6 minutes or so, if I'm not wrong, for a conversation to pop up, sometimes a little longer, but that you're out there, like, go hard, you're multitasking at its best, you're highly focused, laser focused, and just nailing it down when a person gets on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, and like I said, one of the huge benefits, or part of the strategic engine, that's the work from home, right?
Yeah.
Is that the onboarding process? There's a messaging workshop, a list strategy, and the messaging workshop is probably, again, if you want to talk about the price for admission, when the way that it works is that, again, it goes back to the commitment from the top down, right? That the CEO, the CFO, the CRO makes the commitment that, hey, the light bulb's gone off and this can be part of our revenue engine. We actually require or mandate that kind of leadership shows up at the messaging workshop, so that we can draw out the strategic message from the leaders and then make that a mandate for the reps to follow that. And then once you have that kind of buy-in, what are you talking about, right? We're talking about smashing the silos, right? We're talking about alignment from the CEO, the CFO, the CRO with the strategic part of it. The leadership, the sales leadership team, now enabled with all the tools of Connect and Sell to do coaching, live listening, organizing, blitzing, has
Oh,
the
yeah.
buy-in from above. And then the reps actually working at a volume where whatever message and everything that we put together can be measured, because the volume's high enough to be able to iterate, to have a population, a sample that you could say, this is working or not, and iterate and fix. So now, again, you've smashed the silos. You got even the marketing people going, oh my goodness, these guys are following up even on inbound leads, right? Because you can bring those right in through Connect and Sell through a list. Oh my God, we're aligned. Look
Yeah.
out, And so
Man.
that's why I still go back to saying it's a commitment, a discipline. It's a revenue strategy. Kind of goes beyond a lot of innovation at the top of the funnel that wasn't really necessary. you know? I mean,
Right.
this is a necessary innovation in efficiency. A lot of the stuff going on the top of the funnel, which, like I said, we're going to find out here in the next couple of weeks how much fluff or fat was baked in there because, you know, and I don't want to be morbid about people, you know, God forbid people lose their job or furlough, but, you know, I think that, you know, we're going to find out.
Yeah, yeah, man. I
We're going to
love that.
find out. We're going to find out.
I know exactly what you mean, and you know, people can't be seeing these type of solutions as an expense, but really once they see as more an investment, and that would take partay. But hey, Shawn, since let's dive a little bit deeper in that real quick. So Connect and Sell, like you've been in the game 20 plus years, sold beer, you're five by noon, got your own stuff going on. You're at TSD, now you're at Connect and Sell. Like what what do you truly believe that, let's say there's an SDR and BDR listening on this pod and go, you know what, I want to pick up Connect and Sell. They somehow implement the solution. What do you believe that what type of skills and traits would they need to truly be successful using Connect and Sell?
Well, I think that probably you really just have to be committed to the craft, and because what you're gonna experience is a level of conversations that you're probably not used to, and again, that's where the whole entire success team and coaching team can help. But you really have to be committed to having a lot of conversations, the discipline to actually put the hours in to be on the system for it to do the work it needs to do to serve up conversation. So, you know, the words that some of the words that get kind of tossed around, some of my favorite ones, they're good words, are grit and, you know, anti-fragility, that one, the vitamin N one, right? There's something about the anti-fragility characteristics of somebody where no makes you stronger. You know, the idea that you break a bone and it grows back stronger, or you give somebody
Ah,
a little bit of the flu so that they build up immunity to it. That's what no is to a rep, right? So that's always something that I find is remarkable about the thirst for the holy grail, like the perfect script or the perfect message, because it's kind of like, what planet are you on? This game is a 99% no game. That's why it's so hard. What are you talking about? There is no holy grail. The only thing that works is to never stop.
oh, yeah, I love that. Yep, and that comes to in sales and life when they say you gotta be a student of sales, you gotta be a student of life, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
I want one thing I want to mention too, that I noticed that that's definitely you, Shawn. I noticed that you recently, you know, you got your credentials from HubSpot Sales about 2 years ago in 2018, and you're also involved with the American Association of Inside Sales, which tells me you're a continuous learner. You never stop, can't stop, won't stop. You're constantly asking yourself, what's next? Is that right?
That's it. What's next? And I wrote my most recent, and actually the most fun I've had was you want to say it, huh? Next, next was getting my Scrum Master certification. That was a lot of fun, and there's another funny story there. That's where I really adopted putting uh, people before process. And Ryan Rice are such a process person. We have this tastes great, less filling, you know, light beer for you older fellows who know that old commercial. Debate around putting people before process, and we're saying the same thing, kind of, you know, circular. But what I talk about from a leadership role in sales is, hey, it's the, you know, I'm not the one who said this originally, but the saying goes that you really want to, leaders should define a role and then cast the right talent into that role. And it's leadership's
Right.
job to make sure that the right talent is in that role. And as far as people go at any organization, it's rare that somebody doesn't have a special talent that could be cast somewhere else. So there's never a matter of, oh, you're not good at this or you don't rate. Usually it's the leadership that made a bad placement, and it's on leadership to find a better place for that person to go. And Ryan and I have this debate about process, 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 and I'm like, nah, we got to put people in front of the process. It takes great people, but it really takes both. But I am definitely a people before process. I always look to people, you know, are we got you in the right spot, man? Did I do the right thing for you, man? What's up? What's up,
Dang.
people?
Damn, love that, Sean. Well, you know, I would have to say agree with you. As much as I love Ryan, I gotta put people before a process because without people, there is
Yes,
no process.
Ryan. Haha, Ryan.
Still love you,
There's,
Ryan.
you know, I would share too that one of my favorite books that I've probably either read or listened to, again in the spirit of being honest, maybe 4 times, maybe 3.5, 4 times, so not like 1,000 times, is called First Break All the Rules by Gallup. Um, and it's a book that they basically did a really deep dive data wise on management, and it's 100% about putting people first. And you can tell by the title, if you think about it, First Break All the Rules. Basically, the book pretty much just pulls the rug out from underneath conventional wisdom. You know that people quit their managers, not their job. You know, most of the time people are unhappy with their manager. When
Oh my
asked or
God.
surveyed, if we changed managers, would you stay? Heck yeah, get rid of them. You know, but it's the things you can't say. But that book has these 12 items that you can survey your employees to help you understand the health and culture. It's just a people before process. It's hands down a fantastic book for anyone who's thinking about, you know, leadership or being part of a team, how to be a good team player, be a good leader. First, break all the rules. Again, I can't stress the name of that book. It means you're going to learn how to break all the conventional wisdom that's completely wrong about, you know, leadership, command and control, you know, things like that.
Damn. Damn,
Yeah.
hot. I love that. You know, that reminds me of my previous manager over at Berkshire Systems. Shout out to Sundar, SVP of Product and Strategy. He told me one time, people do not, he's at Jackson, people do not work for a company. People work for people. And
Yeah.
that right there just rung a bell. So, Sean, I know we're running up the time here, but just before we do that real quick, I have one question for you, and this is for the listeners right here. You know, you are the wizard of cold calling. You are the man, the godfather of Connect and Sell, I would say. Would you be open to doing a quick role play real quick?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so you're over at Connect and Sell. Let's say I just opened up a new company. I have 20 reps, all sales rep, straight phone. You know, your job's just to book an appointment to see Connect and Sell. Let's say I sell let's say I sell beer.
You sell beer. You sell beer. It's
Uh,
my target market
so
for Connect and Sell. Here, you know, we'll do it. We'll do it. We can do it. We can do it 2 ways too. And remember, I remember this isn't an excuse. This is a great opportunity for learning. I am not hard on people for meetings because I play the long game. And what I mean by that is I am a firm believer in converting the believers. I don't try to convince the skeptics, right? I convert the believers. I don't try to convince the skeptics because I know that Connect and Sell is going to serve me up another conversation in a couple minutes. The less time I spend with someone who's saying no or I don't care, the quicker I can get to somebody who's going to be a believer and want to go forward. So that right there
oh
is one of those
wow.
mindsets. You can role play all you want all you want because it's not real or whatever, but if you don't have the kind of activity, the number of conversations coming in where you can say, great, I got to go because I'm done trying to get you on board. I'll call you back in 90 days or I'll send you something. I got plenty of people I can call. That's more valuable, I think, for someone to understand than a role play. But I'm willing to role play with you. And we can do it 2 ways because I've got this interesting script that I think would help a lot of people if they would actually give it a go.
Okay,
It's
okay. So
it's a
just to
it's a
confirm, basically, if I was to say, no, I'm good, you just be like, all right, later. I just hop on next. Is that right? Like rather than just
pretty close, pretty close. I mean, I'm gonna try to ask you a couple of questions. I mean, I'm gonna ask you, hey Jackson, is there someone else in your organization I should connect with?
got it. Okay,
You
right.
know,
Well,
I'm gonna ask you, do you? I'm gonna ask. I mean, right? I mean, if we're gonna get me on my whiteboard, right? Like, get me on my. I mean, what I see, it's gone here. But what are the 4 objectives of prospecting? Right there, you can see this thing. It's
wow.
build awareness, gather info, qualify, it's the same as qualify, get a meeting, and in a transactional, close the deal. So
Nice.
that's why I say awareness. Hey, I'm Shawn from Connect and Sell, gathering info. Do you do outbound sales? Do you have outbound reps? Reason for my call is to get some time on your calendar to share some ideas and innovations around helping your team have 10x calls. But anyways, let's do it. But though, again, the 4 objectives of prospecting: build awareness, gather info, set a meeting, and if it's transactional, close the deal. Again, you got to work
Wow.
inside of these. You've got to work inside these frameworks. This, by the way, is from chapter 6 of Fanatical Prospecting, Jeb Blunt. So all
Ooh.
credit to Jeb Blunt there. Or chapter 9, I think chapter 9. Chapter 9, yeah, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11. Those are the golden ones about the prospecting pyramid. And that's what that's about, right? Like qualifying people so you, when the days go by, a few months go by, and you start calling your follow-up list, meetings start to drop out when you get away from the one and done, got to get this meeting now. Why are you trying to twist people's arm? That's a short game. That's why people don't make quota, and that's why reps churn so fast. That's why, you know.
And that's why process is important. Oh man, I'm excited for this. Shawn, ready when you are. Hit the ring when you're ready.
So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Jackson. This is Shawn from Connect and Sell, and you and I have never spoken before. Could I have 27 seconds to tell you why I called?
Who's this?
I'm Shawn at Connect and Sell.
Oh, okay, sure. I don't see why not.
Perfect. Hey, I believe we've discovered a breakthrough that completely eliminates the waste and frustration that prevents a good rep or your best sales reps from using the phone effectively. And in the worst case, not using the phone at all, especially some of the folks that are working from home right now, or even your veteran reps who've been working from home for a long time. And Jackson, the only reason why I called you today is to get 15 minutes on your calendar to share this breakthrough with you. Do you have your calendar in front of you?
I do, but Shawn, tell me, my reps are pretty skilled. They're just dialing off the phones as usual. What is it that you can do different?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm happy to hear you guys are having some luck on the phone. And if I heard you correctly, you run a pretty tight ship there, and your reps are on the phone making calls. They use the phone to help drive revenue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
just pounding the phone manually. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. I'm always excited to hear that. So Connect and Sell, it's a technology and a strategy that lets reps just like me effortlessly get conversations like the one we're having now. As a matter of fact, I use Connect and Sell to get you on the phone today. And it's fundamentally different from anything else out there. Not a dialer, not an appointment setter. Rather, it's a breakthrough way of having conversations that every business can use to grow sales. And that's it. Jackson, even if you decide to not take this any further than our first meeting, I guarantee you're going to learn a couple of things you can use to help your team right away and have gained a great, valuable resource for the future. So how about we set something up for next Tuesday, 3 p.m., or are you a morning person?
Oh, you know what, Shawn? I appreciate the call. I'm always open to seeing what else is out there. You know, my sales team is fairly new. Tuesday at 3 sounds good.
Perfect. So let me confirm your email address. It's Jackson at ITakeAmeetingWithAnybody.com, right?
Yep. You know what's funny?
Perfect.
I was just picking up the call, and right after that, I truly believe I was supposed to say no when you asked for the time on the calendar right off the bat. Was that right?
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh
No,
man,
see,
that was good.
I tell Ryan will say you're not that good, but honestly, I think that again, if you go back to believing, like, again, go back upstream, solve the right problem, make sure that your reps are enabled and fortified with the idea that you're there to convert the believers. Don't waste time with the skeptics. Like if someone starts saying, hey, we're good, whatever, then I know a lot of people can't afford that, and you'll have a sales manager trying to coach you on that call. How are you going to coach somebody where the person on the other side was an a-hole? How do you coach
Oh,
for that? Right? I mean, how do you coach for that? You don't put that pressure on the rep to try to convert that person. You enable your rep with enough conversations that they can talk to the willing and get better, and you have something to coach on. And that doesn't happen in the 1 to 2 conversations a day or 30 to 40. It doesn't happen. You can't get there, right? You
Yes.
can't get there. You can't
Yes.
get there.
Wow,
And I can tell you, if you went back and transcribed that thing, I can tell you that the golden part of that script is when you come back in your expansion statement, when somebody says, well, because the script is nebulous, right? It's kind of like, what did you say? What does that even mean, right? And you want you as somebody writing scripts and so on, you want to walk people into those situations. Like earlier in our call, you said, figure out what the resistance, figure out what the objections are. That's exactly right. You set up a script and you run it for a few months or for a while so that the objections will reveal themselves. Then you can iterate on the script and preempt those. Again, you may preempt those before they happen, and that's what makes a script magical. But after my expansion statement where I said Connect and Sell is a technology strategy that I'm using to get on this call, and then that statement where I said, that's it, Jackson, if you don't take it any further than this first meeting we're going to set, I guarantee you have learned a thing or two you can use to assess your current situation and have gained a valuable resource for the future. So how about Thursday at 3? And the whole idea there is what's in it for me, or one, you get out of it, right? Like, hey, this call is going to be over. Even if you want to say no after that meeting, it's fine. But I guarantee you, you're going to learn some valuable information and gain a resource for the future. So how about Tuesday at 3? That part of the statement is all about, closing on the first meeting,
Nice.
and yeah,
Nice.
that's all part of the messaging workshop, because, you could break that down, that little script of, hey, I'm Shawn from Connect and Sell. We've never spoke, or I know I'm an interruption. Can I have 27 seconds? It's all about the 3 things that you need in a script to begin with, right? You need trust, curiosity, and attention, right? The trust came from, Jackson, you and I have never spoken before. It's the first time I'm calling, so don't be scared, right? We don't know each other. Can I just get 27 seconds to tell you exactly why I called and I'll get out of here? Most of the time people will say, go ahead, you got 22, or no. And even if they say no, you're like, cool, hang up, send me another call, Connect and Sell, love it, can't wait. That's the trust part, right? The curiosity part is the nebulous nature of the script. And this is where people go, that script's not going to work. Well, it works if you will believe that it's supposed to be nebulous, that it's a little bit why, like, hey, I believe we've discovered a breakthrough that completely eliminates the waste and frustration that keeps your best reps from using the phone effectively, and in the worst case, using it at all. I mean, that's really my why, not how. It's a why, but it's nebulous. It's supposed to be curiosity, and people will naturally go, hold on, hold on, tell me more. What does that mean, right? The curiosity part, and then you get them straight to attention. But hey, the reason why I called is to get your time on your calendar. Do you have it on in front of you there, in front of your desk? Do you have it there? And then you go, wait a second, before I go there, you got my attention and I'm interested. What does that mean? What do you even do? What do you do? And then I've got my expansion statement ready to go.
Bam.
It's a technology and a strategy. Let's reps like me effortlessly get calls. I used it to get you on the phone, buddy. Fundamentally, it's different than anything else out there. That's it, Jackson. Telling you, man, if you decide to not take it any further than our next meeting, you'll gain some valuable information you can use to help your team right away.
Wow.
Great resource for the future. Now, do that a couple of 100 times, and I guarantee you, if the other upstream things were done correctly, like your messaging is correct, you're targeting the right people, you've done the things you're supposed to as an outbound leader to enable your team to be successful. That you're gonna just naturally, by the way of numbers, by sheer volume, book 1 in 10 meetings. You'll get that money if you just do that over and over. You don't even have to be good. And then if you're good, you'll get it to 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. 18%, 20%, something like that. Then as a sales leader, you could start saying, hey, team, that we're the best. We don't settle. We don't even talk about days where we don't get 1 meeting. We're a 2 meeting minimum shop because we're
Yeah.
we're the best. You know, we're the best at what we do. And then
Oh my God, I love it.
depending on what your I mean, really, right? I mean, I go crazy. The yes, the team at Connect and Sell that makes outbound calls. I mean, we book 400 appointments a month. I mean, that's
Wow.
for the sales team, right? I mean that, and
Killer.
that's because everyone's rallied around driving revenue, growing the company. They believe in it. We're behind it. Not like, oh, I'm a pro. Listen to me talk. You know, listen to what I have to say. I know what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. God damn. I love that, Shawn. Thank you for sharing. Just it's just believe, and even if they say, hey, even if you say no, even if you don't agree to check it out, you at least gain some type of value of how it can help.
Yeah.
And that right
Mm-hmm.
there's a win-win situation regardless. Damn,
Yeah.
money. Shawn
Yeah,
coming in
that's what we do.
hot.
And even if we tap out, if you're going to tap out and send somebody info, that's fine. I'll drive that. I'll say, you know what I do at this point when you're not interested and you're still on the phone, as I tell you, I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm going to send you some information about the company. Take 2 minutes, thumb through it. I'm going to call you back in a week. I'll do the heavy lifting to find out if it makes sense.
Damn.
Schedule a call back. Put a note in there that says calling back because you sent info. It goes in your callback list. You call them back the second time. Now you're counting on the law of familiarity, right? When you call and say, hey, and do everything they say not to do, right? In Connect and Sell, the call comes up, the teleprompter's there, it says the notes that you put in for the last call, what you're going to say verbatim when that person answers the phone, it's right there. Hey, Jack,
There it is.
we talk, or can I call you Jack or is it Jackson? Is it Jackson?
Yeah.
Should
It's
ask you
Jack.
before. Can I call you? Not Jackson. We'll see
Yeah,
what
you got
Jackson.
Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson, you and I called last week, and I'll tell you what, the timing was horrible. So I told you that I was going to send you some information. I'm calling to see if you had a chance to look at it. Most of the time, you probably don't even remember that we talked.
Oh, yeah. You were that one guy that called.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Yeah. So I'm guessing that no, you didn't. You're busy, right? You didn't take a look at the information I sent.
Uh, I'm glad you brought up. I actually was able to skim it, but I didn't fully get a chance to fully scan it. So please fill me in.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So I don't want to get carried away here. I told you I'd call back and we get a time on the calendar. So that's why I'm here. Do you have your calendar in front of you now?
As a matter of fact, yes, I do.
Yeah, right. So
Money.
I'm gonna
That's the
come,
funnel strategy. That's the
I'm
funnel
gonna come
strategy.
at, I'm gonna come at it just like that and say, you know, hey, look, you know, let's just do that. What I find is that most of the time you'll be able to learn a thing or two. What I like to do is get 15 minutes on the calendar so that we can have a discussion in the right forum about something that's probably very important to your business. And after that 15-minute call, I'll count on you to tell me, yes, this is something I'd like to, you know, keep moving down the road here, or no, this isn't right for us, and I'll take your word at that point, and we'll wrap it up. So let's put
Damn.
this on the books for next week, and we'll go from there. But I'll kind of joke around about, but I got to count on you. You got to tell me yes or no. We don't play the maybe game. You know,
Yep.
if I can count on you for yes or no, we'll put it on the books. And again, I mean, this
Damn.
is easier said than
There it
done. It
is.
doesn't always go like that. It doesn't always go like that, but that's the spirit of it, you know.
That's Shawn Sease for you, baby. That's why it is coming in hot. So, Shawn, thank you so much for sharing that. Really love it. Awareness, gathering information,
Mm-hmm.
qualification, closing the meeting. So, just to as we're reaching a part of the hour here, so 2 questions for you. Number one, if there's an SDR, BDR listening to this episode right now and they really want to become that badass B2B code caller, what would you give them advice to one up their game? And if they want to reach out to you, say thank you, what's the best way to do so?
Walk straight into the CEO's office and say, we need Connect and Sell now.
Woo! Coming hot, baby.
Yeah, but no, I would, you know, I mean, I was kind of being tongue in cheek there. You know, I think that if I was a young SDR, is that I would be challenging folks around conversations. Hey, I think that I'd be looking at the tech stack and everything that they're doing for emails and everything and challenging, saying, hey, don't all roads lead to conversations? Isn't that really what we're trying to do, is have a conversation so we can get to yes or no? And never ever let go of that. Never ever, I mean, drive that, because what I fear, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I fear is that the tech stacks, like all the engagement platforms, data enrichment, and all these things have kind of
Yeah.
made their way into sales ops, and it, you sort of get this feeling that a lot of sales reps are betting on, I'm good at using outreach or sales loft or a cadence, and losing sight of what it is to have a conversation and drive something through the funnel, to actually have the conversations and do the work. Those are two separate things. And I fear for some reps that they'll get caught up because it's easy to set up a cadence. It's easy to spend hours on end, right? Maybe it's day 3 I send an email versus day 4. Whatever, it's it's not that valuable of a skill. And what I'm worried about is that that will naturally make its way into IT, like all other things technology eventually went over to specialized roles, people that are specialized in that, just like salespeople should be special. You don't want your IT guy making top of funnel calls. You want him fixing your email inbox for you, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. So sales ops, I don't know. It's so big, who knows? But those kind of technical skills are really going to become like an IT role, and really just not that exciting, because there is no line item on the balance sheet for, or the P&L for, good cadence, right? There's one for revenue. there's a
Yeah.
there's a line for revenue, and that's the metric that matters. So you got to be careful around the skill set around, again, even personal brand, is super, super in vogue or whatever. But again, there's nothing on the P&L that says sales team's personal brand. But there is a line item for total sales,
Yeah.
and you have to, if you're gonna start with the outcome, start with the balance sheet and the P&L, and you'll find out what metrics matter. You'll start thinking like a CEO and a sales leader, and all this other stuff doesn't matter. It does not matter. Number of emails, even, God, right? Like open rates. Look at your spam rates, in rates where people are saying, take me off of your unsubscribe rates, right? Because you get 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 reps sending out 3,500 emails each, and the unsubscribe rate is 1%. In less than 6 months or a year, that math works out to, you just destroyed half of your total addressable market. The negative side of the metrics on mass carpet bombing is staggering. And you've got all these people saying, oh, look at my open rates, look at my click-through rates. You're like, let's look at the unsubscribe rates, because you just destroyed half of our market that we can never, ever email. Even if we got them in a call, our email's going to bounce because they said unsubscribe. So
Oh
it's
my
another
God.
backwards way of looking at what's really happening and why conversations are so important,
Oh my God.
leading
Oh
with
my God. Sean,
conversations.
Sean, that was the wizard zap from you right there. Like, I completely understand where you're coming from. People who comes in like, hey, look at my cadence, look at the email, look at this click rates, reply rates. But you really learn how to sell when you know how to sell on the phone. Someone picks up, says no, and you convert them to say yes. And this is the same thing for going, cold calling. It's not dead. Get on the goddamn phone.
Let's do another one. You guys, do you care?
Yeah, we can do another one. No problem.
Yeah, let's do it. I want to share this other script that is a funny story. We'll bring Ryan in here, because when we were working together, he was making calls. One day he sends over a
Oh.
Slack. He's all, hey, I'm looking at this script, and he was like, what is this gibberish? And I said, it's not a script, bro. It's a strategy. Follow the follow the
Okay.
process. Trust the process. And then he sends me a message back like a day or two later. He's all, dude, this is money. I'm booking. I got to 1 in 20 and started drilling it down to 1 in 10. He started to kill it. With this one. So
All right.
this is interesting. There's a 4 call to action, 4 asks. Nobody likes it when they read it. They're like, you got to be out of your mind. But I developed this. The reason why I came up with this is that I saw one day that it's pure data, right? That calls that were lasting longer than 2.5 minutes had a way higher percentage of becoming a meeting. So without looking at the details or anything else, I just said, all right, why don't I come up with a script that makes the call last longer than 2.5 minutes and see what happens, right? And I
Yeah.
came up with this, and I actually just applied this to Connect Until. I haven't started using it, but let's walk through it because it's really, really awkward and it's really, really weird. Nobody likes it, but it works, and then we'll kind of dissect it after here. So
Sure. Let's
ring,
do it.
ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Jackson, this is Shawn from Connect and Sell, and we've never spoken before. I don't need to take any of your time today. The reason why I called today is to set up a brief introductory call to formally introduce myself and my company. Do you have your calendar in front of you, and we'll get something on the books, and I'll get out of your hair?
I'm sorry, Sean. What's this regarding?
Well, like I said, I'm calling you from Connect and Sell. Have you ever heard of Connect and Sell? Have you heard of my company?
You're that phone burner, right? Like you got speed dial. That's it. You got just speed dial, 10x speed like Grant Cardone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people refer to us as a speed dialer and things like that. But I can tell you that typically I reach out to sales leaders and revenue growth leaders at organizations, and I talk to them about things in sales, and they're always on the lookout for the latest ideas and innovations around, number one, how do they help their sales reps have more conversations? Number two, how do they really create a coaching culture, turn data into learning and optimization versus inspection and reprimand? And then given the current climate, what's going on in the world, the CEO and the CRO are all wondering how are we going to prevent an empty Q3 pipeline and keep 2020 revenues on track. So Jackson, of those three things, your sales reps having more conversations, a better coaching culture, or keeping revenues on track, what's top of mind for you guys? What are you guys working on?
Well, Sean, now, okay. Well, first things first, got my attention. Yeah, we're actually, so we have a pretty big sales team going on right now. We're selling beers. Not sure if you're craft brewman or not, but I actually just wrote out a team of 20 reps. They're pretty tenured dialers, so they know how to hang on the phone. But we're just manually dialing on the phones right now, and we're trying to get as much conversation as possible and just really bring out this new beer out there. We call it let's call it the Ryan beer. But yeah, we're working on it.
The Racer's Red. Ryan Racer's Red. Well, that's perfect. It sounds like you guys are pretty organized there. And like I said, when I originally called, the purpose for this call was to get some time on your calendar, formally introduce my company, and really share some new ideas and innovations that can really, really help even your best reps, your seasoned reps, reach a lot more of your next best customers a lot faster. But this isn't the right forum for that. If you've got your calendar here, it sounds like we've got the perfect reason to set up this call for maybe next week, early next week. What works best for you? What's your calendar look like?
Yeah, Sean, thanks for asking. You know what? This sounds good. Let's do this. My let me see here. Looks like Tuesdays my buckets are full. Wednesday buckets are full. Let's go with Thursday at 1 p.m. You have that open Pacific daytime?
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to make this work for us. So I'm going to confirm your email and your phone number. That's perfect. Let me ask you, Jackson, we got this thing on the books. I know this is going to be a really important call for both of us. Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make it to this call?
Unless it's a zombie apocalypse, I would say no.
That sounds pretty good. Sometimes I find that things do come up here and there. If by chance that you don't make it or something comes up, is there someone else in your organization that I could rely on to call to help me reschedule this, or anyone else I should reach out to?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you can. Yeah, there'll be Mr. Ryan, director of sales.
Perfect. Let me get Ryan's direct number, and I'll have that here in case anything comes up, and I can continue to do my job and keep this thing on track here.
Yep.
Do you think we should invite Ryan to the meeting too? Would it be useful for him to be at this meeting too?
You know what? I truly believe it. It probably would be beneficial. Yes, because it is Ryan at ryanreesebeer.com.
Perfect. So I'm gonna invite him to the meeting too, and then after this call, I don't imagine you have any objection to me reaching out to him to let him know that he should be expecting an invite. I'll give him a call real quick too. That's all right with you, yeah?
Absolutely.
Perfect. What kind of guy is Ryan? Is he receptive if I say, hey, you told me to call? Is he going to say, oh, great, okay, or is he going to, oh God, Jackson set me up again? What kind of guy is he?
Oh no, me and Ryan, we're pretty tight. He's very cool. He has his guards up definitely, but if it's someone from referral, he probably be one of the coolest and nicest guys you ever help. I tell you what, there's this one time where someone just called him out the blues and asked for help, and he helped him with the whole entire playbook.
Yeah. I know the guy. So that really, I mean, there's a really good example too of, you know, when you
Yeah.
have the opportunity to have enough conversations that you start solving the right problems either further down the river, right? Now that the team is actually executing the script the way that they should, and you say, okay, well, let's make sure that you get their direct number, their email address, and then ask them, let's never go at it alone. Anyone else I should invite? And if I
Nice.
should, what can you tell me about them? What kind of person are they? You know,
Wow.
and just whatever. I mean, again, easier said than done. It's really easy to role play it and do it here and be prepared to do it. But I think that those are some of the, the skills that one percenters, people that can actually, that kind of do that naturally or have done it so much with so much redundancy that that's why it looks easy, because they've so many at bats, right? I mean, so many at bats
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the repetition, you get in shape, you get good at it. Nothing beats repetition in sales, you know. And I think we can wrap this up. There's a little math there that,
Yeah.
because the funnel is a long-term thing, and I think a lot of companies, even startup companies, lots of times are holding on by a thread. And I think when you get past that 25th month is really the Walking Dead actually die, right? You know, if you in that sometimes, again, not to be morbid, but
Man.
a lot of sales floors they're kind of the Walking Dead. They're going through the motion, they've got runway, but they're not doing stuff that's just driving the sucker, you know, just like
Damn.
driving it. And again, driving it means let's convert the believers, let's not convince the
Yeah.
skeptics, let's be smart, man. We're not here to
Man.
beat up anybody. Why didn't you let that call go? You should have hung up on him. You should have hung up on him and got the next call. We want to convert the believers, not convince the skeptics. That's
Yep.
culture. That's putting people before process, you know.
Damn. Damn, that I love that, Shawn. Thank you for sharing. That was amazing. I noticed you did that 2.5 minute long. You stretched it out and you really went down swinging. After we said, you know what? Yeah, maybe we should take a look. And then you kept swinging, kept swinging. Oh, by the way, who else should be involved? Oh, what's he
Yeah.
like? Really getting to know him. You know, that's a straight strategy. And that's why you're the wizard of cold calling.
That script that people don't like when I post that on LinkedIn, I can't say that. Again, you have to go back upstream and we have to have the conversation about it's a strategy. What I want you to do is I want you to get on the phone and say, I'm Shawn. We've never spoken before, and come straight out. The only reason why I'm calling is to get time on your calendar. Do you have it in front of you? And you say that because, one, if someone says, sure, let's do that, great, let's do that. But you're expecting them. You're walking them right into, hold on, before I get my calendar out and do anything with you, who are you? What is this about?
Yeah.
And you heard this. The second thing is, oh, I'm calling from Connect and Sell, Jackson. Have you heard of my company? I'm expecting that. I'm expecting it. No, I haven't. Well, typically what happens is people like you in your role, just like you, they reach out to me and they tell me that they're struggling with reps aren't having enough conversations, trouble with the culture on the sales leadership, and really the C-suite, the CEO is just grinding. Where are the deals? Where is the revenue? You know, of those three things, what's top of mind? What are you guys talking about? More conversations, coaching culture, or the CEO breathing down your neck for revenue? What's going on over there? And people will be
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's what most people say. They're the same thing. Let's flatten it out and get it going. So the reason for my call again was to get some time on your calendar so we can share what's working with our clients. Do you have do you have your calendar in front of you? And I even have in there, that's it. If you don't take it any further, I guarantee you're going to learn a thing or two.
Oh my
But
God.
again,
There you go.
it's
So
those,
valuable.
it's walking people, you know, through a predictable process where it's not, and I like to refer to it as you're learning the kind of person that you're talking to versus controlling them, because that's another fallacy. You can't control people, but you're actually learning how far you can go with somebody, right? Hey, I want time on your calendar. What is this about? Have you heard of my company? No. People like you call us because of these three things. Now, can we have a meeting or not? No? Cool, I'll send you information. I'm going to call you back and bug you. Hope you remind me, wear you down. If not, I'll try again in 3 months, because Connect to Sell keeps serving me conversations. I'll do this over
I
and
love it.
over and over and over, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shawn, fuck, man, thank you so much for this. Was so valuable, especially for the new SDR BDRs out there who's listening. If there's anyone out there who's listening to this episode and wants to reach out to you, say thank you, have you pitch them, maybe even buy, connect, and sell, and get some subscription. What's the best way to do so?
Well, you can find me. I'm Shawn Sease, ShawnSease on LinkedIn. Hashtag 5 by noon. Shawn Sease at Connect and Sell. I'm easy to find.
There it is,
Actually,
guys.
you can call my secretary, Ryan Reister, will be happy to book you a meeting with me.
There you go, folks. You heard his secretary, Ryan. Oh, man.
We love you, Ryan. We love you, man.
We love you, Ryan. All right, folks, and that takes it there. And thank you, and have a good one.